Chapter 38. She did what? Mariella stood at the table, gaping at Sevrin. She accepted my proposal, Sevrin said, grinning. Mariella and Timron exchanged a glance. When Sevrin returned home, he had caught his parents eating lunch at the table, so he blurted the news as soon as he walked in the door. Mariella walked over to Sevrin and placed her hand on his forehead. He is warm, no fever. Perhaps it's a sort of illness which addles the mind. I've heard of such things. Timron hefted himself out of the chair. I shall fetch Master Knighton. You keep him still until I return. I'm not ill, Mum. Severn smacked his mother's hand away from him. It happened. Oh, dear. Mariella jerked her hand away. I think he means it, Timron. Timron gave her a look askance. This is what happens when you encourage his fantastical dreams, Mariella. I didn't think it would cause any harm, Mariella said. This is not something to be alarmed about. Severn grinned. She chose me. This is everything I've ever dreamed of. Severn, why would she? Mariella took a step back to look in his face. You said it yourself. We have no means. Because she loves me, Severn said, his face heating up again. She even kissed me right here. He pointed at his nose. Her father will never accept you, Severn. Timron shook his head. Regardless of how kind she is, he is a noble. They'll never accept you. Her Highness seems to think he will. Again, why? Mariella said. Because of the dragon. Severn reached into his pouch. He gave me this as a token of our friendship. He pulled out the dragon scale. Mariella gasped. Is it? She took it from him. A dragon scale, from over his heart. Severn gazed at it. All the knights seem to think such a thing can control a dragon. Princess Desimone believes this is enough to convince her father. I agree. Mariella examined the scale, a frown deepening on her lips. Kingdoms would wage war over such a thing. Righteous men become wicked, and good fathers would sell their kin for the power this scale can bring. It would be too tempting an opportunity for the king to ignore. Would he not rather come in and take it by force? Timron said, arms crossed. It doesn't work that way, though some less informed may think it does. Mariella heaved a sigh. It is the one to whom the scale is given who has the power, not the scale itself. Violence against a scale-bearer has tragic consequences. So, Timron stroked his beard in thought. The king truly would have to allow the princess to marry him. Yes, Mariella handed the scale back to Sevrin. The dragon has given you the key to your every dream, Sevrin. Now you're justified in your decision to rescue him, son, Timron said. Severn sank onto his bed, his eyes on the scale in his hands. Looking at it, he thought of the dragon's kind yet annoying manner. How pleased it was with himself to host Princess Desimone and Severn for tea. How earnest he looked when he beseeched the princess to call off the knights. A nicer dragon Severn had never met. And he had given such power to him? So much power. I think I'll return it, Severn said. Why? Mariella said. You have everything you wanted. Because of Tesco. The king wouldn't accept me if it wasn't for him. It's like... Severn fell silent a few moments, gathering his thoughts. It feels like I'm using him to get what I want. Tesco's my friends. Friends don't use each other. Timron chuckled at him. Only you would worry about such a thing, Severn. You're not one who would ever misuse another, Mariella smiled. If you're worried about it, talk to him. Make known your fears. I'm sure Tesco doesn't see it the way you do. Thank you, Father. Mum. Severn got to his feet. I shall go see if I can find him, though he must be back at his lair by now. Go out into the meadow away from the city and call for him, Mariella said. Dragons have excellent hearing. One day, Mum, I'm going to find out how you know so much about dragons. Severn headed to the door, but halted. I've neglected my duties today, haven't I? He held up his pouch. Didn't even give these herbs to Master Knighton. It's all right, son. Timron clapped him on the shoulder. This is more important. Be sure to give the herbs to Master Knighton later. Mariella took the pouch from him. Don't want to break your promises. Yes, Mum. Severn walked out the door, but he heard his parents continue to speak after he left the house. Mariella? Timron turned to her. Why do you know so much about dragons? Knowledge left over from another lifetime, my love. Mariella turned to the kitchen. Nothing worth discussing. So you say, Timron said, but didn't press the issue further. Severn, too, decided not to ponder it too much. He had a dragon to see, after all.